Joe Burrow leads Cincinnati Bengals to the first Super Bowl in 33 years.
I cried. I just broke down and cried.
A new Omicron subvariant has been identified in the United States.
And talks over Russia's growing presence at the Ukrainian border continues. Newswatch starts right now. The sound of celebration here in Athens County after Joe Burrow leads the Cincinnati Bengals to victory in the AFC Championship game. Good evening, I'm Andre Norrells.
And I'm Olivia Roman. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Last night's win means the Bengals will face off against the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 56.
Our own Maria Manessi is here with how fans across the state and here in Athens are reacting to the Bengals' victory.
That's right, guys. This is the first time the Bengals have been to the big game since 1989. We start off with reactions from Cincinnati after the big win against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Anxiety in the beginning.
Nerve-wracking, girl. It's working my nerves, but it's exciting. I think we can do it.
But relief and excitement in the end. From Newport to the Banks.
Unbelievable for the city. So we was the underdogs, and we'll take that because we've been down for so long. But you know what? It's over for that now.
My stomach's in knots. I watching that game in the last few seconds of the game. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I cried. I just broke down and cried. It couldn't be any better than this for Cincinnati. Finally, yes!
While some fans were not even alive the last time the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl, there are some who still remember.
It's been so long. We've stood there and watched loss after loss for so many years. Finally, we made it to the Super Bowl after all these years.
The Bengals knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime 27-24 to claim the AFC title. Athens County native Joe Burrow led the charge, throwing for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in the victory. Just 1 year after knee surgery, Burrow led the Bengals on an improbable journey to Super Bowl 56. We got reaction from local fans on the atmosphere in Athens and Burrow's reputation around the area.
The energy was electric. People were still hyped just that Burrow was playing at the very least. And obviously as the game went on, it got better, then it got worse, and then we won.
I don't watch football a ton, but I've heard a lot just in the past few days especially about him, that he went here to Athens High School and just kind of like is a bit of a hometown hero, and I haven't heard a bad thing about him. Everyone seems to like him.
Tune in to Newswatch later this week to hear from WOUB reporters Nick Veland and Lexi Lepoff on Joe Burrow's lasting impact in Athens County.
Thanks, Maria. A Southeast Ohio city auditor will be running for state auditor. Nelsonville City Auditor Taylor Sappington is looking to be the Democratic Party's candidate in the race. He has served 4 years on Nelsonville City Council and 2 years as the city's auditor. Sappington says he will root out corruption in Columbus. Ohio Democrats have struggled to find high-profile candidates to run for state offices this year. Sappington will take on current state auditor, Republican Keith Faber, in the upcoming November election. Authorities are working on finding the source of carbon monoxide at an Ohio hotel that sent 9 people to hospitals, and 7 of them in critical condition. Marysville Fire Chief Ray Riley told the Columbus Dispatch that everyone who was hospitalized had been in the pool area of the Hampton Inn. Riley said that victims included both children and adults. He said Sunday morning he had no immediate update on the conditions of the victims or the investigation. A representative of the Hampton Inn Marysville said Sunday that officials were, quote, fully cooperating with the local authorities as they investigate the incident. A man has been arrested in connection to a death investigation, according to authorities in Guernsey County. WHIZ reports 36-year-old Timothy Larrick of Cambridge has been charged with failure to report a death and obstructing official business. Following an investigation, it was determined that Lyric found a woman dead at a residence on Meadowbrook Drive in Bynesville on Sunday, January 23rd. The death was not reported until the following day, according to authorities. They say Lyric is a family member of the deceased woman, but further charges are expected to be brought against Lyric once this case is presented to the grand jury. Further charges are expected to be brought against Lyric once this case is presented to the grand jury.
Hey everyone, I'm forecaster Cole Patterson, and right now we are looking at a current temperature of 29 degrees, and that is only going to continue to drop throughout the night. But thankfully, we will be looking at some clear conditions, no cloud cover, no precipitation, so we are very thankful for that. Moving forward across the region, excuse me one second. Across the region, it's going to be very similar temperatures, and then later on, we are going to have warmer temperatures tomorrow, so be sure to enjoy those in a nice sunny day. But we will have rain and snow coming later in the week. I'll have more about that in my full forecast, but for now, back to Olivia.
Thank you. Logan will now have their own designated outdoor refreshment, otherwise known as DORA, by March, according to Logan Mayor Greg Fraunfelter. The Logan Daily News reports the city began working on its DORA in July. According to the Ohio Department of Commerce, a DORA is a specified area that a local legislative authority has designated as exempt from certain open container provisions as defined within the legislative act that created the DORA. Logan's DORA would be in place Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and during permitted special events. Its area would span from the center line of Walnut Street to the center line of High Street and the center line of 2nd Street to the center line of Hunter Street. Logan will join more than 70 other Ohio cities with DORAs. An Omicron subvariant is detected in 49 countries, including the U.S. And the United States Nation Security Council meets over Ukrainian border crisis. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Spend a year with activist Greta Thunberg.
I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science.
On her journey to combat climate change.
We cannot look away from this crisis anymore.
From the front lines of environmental science.
We know we're not bringing this glacier back.
To speaking truth to power.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
Next time on Unforgivable Blackness. Jack Johnson stands atop the boxing world, but his world is about to come crashing down.
Certain unfair persons decided that they could not get me one way, they would another.
Don't miss the conclusion of Unforgivable Blackness, the rise and fall of Jack Johnson.
This is the legend of Cassius Clay, the most beautiful fighter in the world today.
There'll never be another Muhammad Ali.
This I predict, and I know the score. I'll be champ of the world in 64.
He was our moral conscience. So many people were ready to crucify him for his stance. Muhammad Ali epitomized what we were all about in the 60s.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood, because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
A new spin-off of the Omicron coronavirus variant is catching some attention as it is becoming the dominant cause of COVID-19 in some parts of the world. But top U.S. health official says there's no need to panic over the lineage. Mandy Gaither explains in today's Health Minute.
It's called BA2, a subvariant of Omicron, first detected in mid-November, now identified in at least 49 countries, including the U.S.
We're keeping a very close eye on it. Looks a bit more transmissible, but not necessarily more severe.
Like the more familiar version of Omicron, BA2 has a large number of changes, about 20 concentrated in the spike protein, the part of the virus that's targeted by vaccines.
Does it evade our immune system? Does it evade the immunity that we've acquired from Omicron infection or the vaccines? Most of the evidence so far, and it's preliminary, suggests it doesn't.
A report from the UK suggests current vaccines protect about as well against this subvariant as it does the original Omicron variant, with better protection against symptoms, an average of about 70% 2 weeks after a booster.
The only thing I feel pretty confident about is that we'll have more variants. We'll have future variants. So let's begin to prepare.
Health experts say no matter what the future throws at us, we now have the tools we need to be ready, including COVID-19 testing, widespread masking, and the best protection against the virus, vaccination, and boosters.
So whenever the next variant hits, we're going to be ready. We won't have to shut down schools. We won't have to shut down our lives. We'll manage our way through it.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In the U.S., roughly 100 cases caused by B-8.2 have been reported from at least 20 states, according to a sequence sharing website. An additional 161 COVID cases have been reported for Saturday, Sunday, and today in Athens County. Over 13,000 cases have been recorded in the county since the beginning of the pandemic. 2 of the recently confirmed cases require hospitalization for a person in their 70s and a person in their 80s or older. 331 of those cases required hospitalization due to complications related to the virus. There are 2,489 known active cases in the county as of today. A total of 52.84% of the county has started the vaccination process, and 49.14% has completed it.
Today, the United Nations Security Council is meeting to talk about the situation at the Ukrainian border. U.S. officials say they are looking for the council to consider what is at stake. Britt Conway reports.
You don't amass 100,000 troops if you don't have intentions to use them.
Whether Russian President Vladimir Putin decides to further invade Ukraine remains to be seen. Today, another push for diplomacy with a meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Russia insists it has no intention of attacking, but has shown no sign of de-escalation. One Russian expert has implied the show of force is just that, a show.
The first goal is to attract the attention of the West to Russians' concerns about the security system in Europe. And Putin stated it quite bluntly that the West doesn't want to listen to us, so we need to do something dramatic to get the Western attention.
Russia sees the growing support for Ukraine from NATO in terms of weaponry, training, and personnel as a threat to its own security. Ukraine has warned Russia is trying to destabilize the country before any invasion. In truth, tension between the two nations goes back nearly a decade, when Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, and Russian separatists took control of the Donbas region. The history is complicated, but the U.S. ambassador to the UN says its expectations for the future of this conflict are straightforward.
We've made clear that we're prepared to address our concerns, Ukrainian concerns and Russian concerns at the diplomatic table, but it cannot be done on the battlefield.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that he will be meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. Lavrov says the pair will meet over the phone to continue discussions. Several historically black colleges and universities are investigating bomb threats on campus. Southern University and A&M, Bethlehem Cookman University, Alabama State University, Bowie State University, and Delaware State University are either on lockdown or have issued shelter-in-place orders. Howard University in Washington, D.C. also received a bomb threat. Police say the campus has been cleared and no hazardous materials were found. Earlier this month, at least 3 HBCUs, including Howard University, received bomb threats. And prices at grocery stores around the U.S. continue to rise. That story still ahead.
Tomorrow, we're going to see some warm temperatures and lots of sunshine, but rain and snow will return later in the week. I'll have more about that in my full forecast, but for now, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
He had a sound that was like nobody else.
He was a phenomenal entertainer. He was a phenomenal player.
I don't care who it is. If they're going to pick up the guitar and they're going to play rock and roll, they're going to start with Chuck Berry.
I wanted to sing like Nat Cole, with lyrics like Louis Jordan, with the swing of Benny Goodman, and with the soul of Muddy Waters.
He'll always be considered the king of rock and roll.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, there are lessons to be learned.
Actually, the bowl we used to use as our key bowl in my apartment in Brooklyn. So I don't think we should be throwing our keys in it.
And good news to share.
The best I can tell in the mounting is I would call it fancy yellow.
I like that.
You like that?
It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from Sands Point Preserve in Sands Point, New York.
Spend a year with activist Greta Thunberg
I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science.
on her journey to combat climate change.
We cannot look away from this crisis anymore.
From the front lines of environmental science
We know we're not bringing this glacier back.
to speaking truth to power.
You haven't seen anything yet.
This is Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
We realized there was a big problem along the border, and I don't think anybody realized just how big it was.
When people cross, they have to walk around the checkpoint, and this is where people die.
An illegal alien crosser is an illegal alien crosser.
I'm very worried because my cousin Juan has been missing for 3 days.
This is Eddie Canales of the South Texas Human Rights Center. I located a body.
Missing in Brooks County, Monday, January 31st at 10 on Independent Lens.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Cole Patterson. And hour by hour tonight at 8 p.m., we're going to see 25 degrees and clear skies, and it's going to remain the same throughout the night. Clear skies, dropping temperatures, though, with 24 degrees at 10 p.m. and 22 degrees at midnight. Calm conditions as well. But also, we are going to have very similar temperatures across the region. We, very similar low 20s, clear conditions across the region. We're also going to have some beautiful skies, sunshine tomorrow, and some warm temperatures. So make sure that you get outside and enjoy those. But we are having a little bit of technical issues right now with the graphics. But tomorrow we're going to have some warm temperatures. It's going to be nice and sunny. And into next week, or later in this week, I should say, we're going to have some rain and some snow that come later. So like I said, be sure to get outside, enjoy those warm temperatures tomorrow because it is not going to be nice later in the week. On Wednesday night, we're going to have some rain that comes in. We're also going to have some dropping temperatures. And on Thursday, we are going to have some snow and wintry mix. It's really going to turn to snow on Friday. But across the region, then, it's going to be very similar. So no matter where you go, it is going to be rainy, wintry, snowy. Make sure you use caution when driving as always, as you always should during this time of year. But we are also going to have cooler temperatures on Wednesday as well. So across the country, we could talk a little bit about that. We are going to have some warmer temperatures down to the south naturally, and up to the north, we're going to see a little bit drier conditions than we would here, but we are going to overall just have some wet, wintry conditions Wednesday night, Thursday, and Friday, but that'll clear up as we get into the weekend. So if you had any outdoor plans this weekend, I know it's siblings weekend, and if you're going outside for that, you're going to have some beautiful conditions, maybe a little bit cooler and brisk, but you're going to have some dry, nice conditions outside, unlike that wintry mix and snow and rain that comes in Wednesday night and Thursday. But once again, tomorrow it is going to be warmer. We're going to have a high of 49, and the low is going to be 31 tonight. Moving into Tuesday, we are also going to have a high of 46, and Wednesday it's going to be a high of 45, but as that rain comes in, we're going to see a high of 32 on Friday. The high is going to be 30 on Saturday and 40 on Sunday before we see 36 on Monday. So like I said, nicer temperatures this weekend, really consistent across the board. It's really just that rain and wintry mix, and I can't stress to you enough to use caution when going outside, driving, even walking during those Wednesday, Thursday, Friday days. But like I said, when we get into the weekend, it's going to be a lot nicer outside. So make sure to take advantage of that. That's all I have for you right now. I'll have more in my final forecast coming up. But for now, back to Olivia.
Thank you, Cole. Americans are taking a hit at the grocery store. Inflation, supply chain issues, and the impact of the Omicron COVID-19 variant are driving up the cost of food. CNN's Gabe Cohen explains why prices are skyrocketing and what you can do about it.
It's real tough.
For Mike Crowder, finding affordable food has been difficult. He's battling cancer and living on a tight budget.
It's hard for me to get out here and work and be around people. Sometimes, you just have to do without some things to eat.
Grocery costs keep climbing on everything from meat to seafood, produce, cereal, and much more, with overall prices up 9% from a year ago.
It feels like I'm paying a lot more at the register when I finally do check out.
Now big-name brands are raising prices. Kraft Heinz is the latest, announcing hikes on Velveeta cheese, Oscar Mayer meats, coffee, and Kool-Aid, joining General Mills, Campbell's Soup, and Procter & Gamble, which is raising the price of Tide laundry products.
So they put off as long as possible, and now we're going to feel the effect of that for the next few months.
The entire food supply chain is facing surging costs, congestion, and a labor shortage, which have hardly improved. The number of cargo ships parked off the California coast hit a record high in January, with more than 100 still waiting, even after the ports unloaded 13% more containers than ever before in 2021. The cost of ingredients, packaging, and transportation keeps skyrocketing.
The extraordinary cost pressure that we're seeing across all different businesses right now is landing in that last resort, and that's why you're seeing the inflation.
And Omicron is adding to it, peeling workers from warehouses, processing facilities, and grocery stores. This month, U.S. pork production dropped 8% in just a week, with staff sick or quarantined. With fewer employees, distributors are cutting orders to some grocery stores by 20 to 40%.
It's been whack-a-mole. It's one item one day and then, a completely different segment the next.
And demand for groceries keeps surging, with people stuck at home and inflation at a 39-year high.
A lot of times you're limited with what you can get.
A recent survey found 37% of customers are very concerned about shortages, seen on items like pet food, paper goods, and cream cheese.
There's just not as many things on the shelves.
The Biden administration says they're working to ease inflation, accusing some of the largest meat processors of raising prices just to drive up profits. But experts are projecting more grocery price hikes in the months ahead.
Well, you have to be really strategic and intentional.
Beth Monsell runs a blog about cooking on a budget. Her advice? Look for sales flyers before shopping, join store loyalty programs, and plan meals around cheap filling items like rice and beans, as well as shelf-stable ingredients like frozen vegetables.
Because every time you throw food away, you're literally just throwing money in the garbage.
Every dollar counts for families struggling to eat these costs.
It's going to be kind of hard, but I just got to get out here and find something to do and make it work.
If you're struggling, keep an eye out for deals. Florida-based supermarket Winn-Dixie says it is lowering the cost of 150 popular items by about 18% to ease the burden for shoppers.
Coming up in sports, Ohio hockey welcomes the top team in the country to Bird Arena this weekend following a tough weekend. And right after the break, an Ohio men's basketball player is MAC Player of the Week for the 5th time this season. Find out who coming up next on Newswatch. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
At the end of the world, in the high mountains of Chile, there is an icy realm. It belongs to pumas. This is their stronghold and home. But here, a mother can never rest, and cubs must be quick on their feet, because this land is not for the faint of heart.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood, because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, there are lessons to be learned.
Actually, the bowl we used to use as our key bowl in my apartment in Brooklyn. So I don't think we should be throwing our keys in it.
And good news to share.
The best I can tell in the mounting is I would call it fancy yellow.
I like that.
You like that?
It's Antiques Roadshow. Next time from Sands Point Preserve in Sands Point, New York.
Ohio's Mark Sears is the Mid-American Conference Co-Player of the Week. The sophomore guard earns his honor for the fifth time this season. Sears led the Bobcats to 2 victories last week against Northern Illinois and Buffalo. He drained 26 points and grabbed 6 rebounds to lead the Ohio over the Huskies Tuesday. Sears then led the charge Friday against the Bulls with 27 points. Sears shares the Player of the Week honor, this time with Toledo's Ryan Rollins. The Bobcats are back in action tomorrow night as they play host to Ball State. Ohio hockey has a challenging weekend ahead against a familiar opponent. The Bobcats welcomed the top team in the ACHA Lindenwood to Byrd Arena following 2 losses this past weekend to the Lions. Lindenwood dominated Ohio 9-0 Friday night. The Lions raced out to a 4-0 lead after the first period and had 7 goals on the board by the time the third period came around. Saturday was a little bit closer, but the Bobcats dropped the weekend sweep after a 6-4 loss. Ohio was outshot 44-27 on the night. Federal Hawking High School boys basketball heads back on the court, looking to continue their win streak tomorrow night. The Lancers look to stay undefeated in the conference as they play at Waterford, who sits right behind them in the TVC Hawking standings. Federal Hawking has been on a roll this year, but some of its toughest challenges lie ahead. Head coach Jonathan Thompson says his squad needs to make some improvements to keep winning.
We've got to get better in so many parts of the game, each and every night against every team. So defensively, obviously, is where we're weak right now. We've got to fix that. But mainly just trying to do it day by day. So not really looking ahead to anybody, because any night, everybody's giving you your A game, you got to play.
Federal Hawking has just a few games left in the regular season, including 2 big matchups against Trimble. I'm Maria Manessi, and that's it for sports. Back to you. At the desk.
Tomorrow, we're going to see some warm temperatures, 49 degrees with some nice sun in the skies. But tomorrow, the day after, we're going to have some cooler temperatures with rain returning Wednesday and Thursday. We are also going to, across the region, have similar temperatures the next day. And in the week ahead, we are going to have a nice warm weekend with a high of 30 on Saturday, a high of 40 on Sunday, and a high of 36 on Monday. So with that rain and snow, Andre and Olivia, coming in this Wednesday and Thursday, be sure to be careful on the roads or just stay off if you can.
Have a great night.
And that does it for
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling. Stay warm this winter with energy-efficient Tempstar heating. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC services and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategies in Athens and Parker.